Chapter 39. Grandfather. Reg blinked at me as I stared back at him. My mind raced and I tried to process what he'd just told me. Reg had been erased. The old man sitting in his armchair had been erased, just like me. He had no friends, no family, and no visitors. There were no photographs of his family on the mantelpiece, nothing. Surely he would at least have had a picture of his wife somewhere. But there was nothing. There was nothing here that showed a man's past, his history, his life. I stood and paced around the carpet. I don't understand, I said. You wished you'd never been born. Reg slowly nodded his head and put his hands to his chest. His face flushed. I feel a bit strange, he said. I haven't told anyone, you see. I haven't spoken of this ever since it happened. I couldn't stop staring at him. Was that why his memory was so bad? Because he'd erased himself? What happened, Reg? I said calmly. He looked up at the ceiling and thought about it. My grandfather lived in this bungalow for many years after his travels. Have I ever told you that? I shook my head, speechless. All the things here belong to him. This armchair, the sofa, the cabinet. It's hard to start another life when no one knows who you are. You don't have any identification, nowhere to live, no friends to ask for help, no family, nothing. I knew that feeling all too well. Reg carried on. There's also no painful reminders of happier times. The kind of thing that can catch you unexpectedly, like our favourite cup on the shelf or a silver hair clip in the drawer. Seeing something that's simple can take your breath away with grief. Reg swallowed and rubbed his eyebrow. When you're erased, there are no photographs, no diaries, no reminders of your previous life. There's nobody knocking on the door or calling you 3 times a day to check if you're okay. I wanted this life where nobody knew who I was. I wanted some peace. I stared at Reg and I listened to him talking. He really did think about erasing himself was the answer. It was so sad. I didn't want to end up like him. I wanted to go home. And it was this egg that made you disappear, wasn't it? I said, holding it up. The things inside made it happen. He frowned and rubbed his forehead. I don't know. But you must know. Something is missing inside and you've got to help me find something else to replace it, I shouted. You've got to help me, Reg, please. Reg looked back at me, puzzled. I dug my nails into the palm of my hands. I'm not sure. I got off the sofa and dropped down onto my knees at his side. I don't want to be erased anymore, Reg. Don't you understand? I want to go home. I put my head down and sobbed. I cried and I felt his hand gently pat me on the head. I'm sorry, Maxwell, it all happened such a long time ago, said Reg. I dabbed at my eyes with the cuff of my sleeve. I just wanted the chance to go back and tell everyone, and see them, and tell them how much I love them, you know. I looked up at him. Haven't you ever wanted that, Reg, to see your family and friends again? Reg shook his head. I don't know. I can't really remember my old life, Maxwell. It's all foggy. I don't exist there. I thought of the life he had now, surrounded by things that didn't really belong to him, with no friends and no family. But you don't really exist in this world either, do you? I said. This world is even emptier than your old one. He blinked back at me. This would be how I would become one day too, an erased man with no past and nothing in his present. I know it was painful back there, but you had people around you who loved you, I said. What about Alice and Jack? They're still there. Why don't you? I stopped as the door flew open. Maxwell, you there? Charlie Geek burst into the living room and ran towards me. I stood up as he grabbed me by the shoulders. He was grinning. Maxwell Beckett, I'm going to get you home, he said.